In 2008, Beyoncé released her third studio album, I Am Sasha Fierce. The record, most notable for its deliberate attempt at reaching a pop audience, is often a subject of debate among fans. On one hand, many listeners praise the LP for its ability to showcase the dichotomy of Beyoncé's persona. Yet, others criticize the project for trying to appease everyone. Originally formatted as a double disc, the first leg of the album, titled I Am, reveals the singer's vulnerability through mid-tempo pop and R&B ballads. The second CD, named after Beyoncé's alter ego, Sasha Fierce, offers a bold range of up-tempo, electropop, and hip-hop cuts. Despite the mixed reviews by critics, the album succeeded in all that it was intended for. Not only did it produce several top 10 hits, but Beyoncé took home 6 Grammy Awards in 2010, breaking the record for most wins by a female in one night. Nevertheless, instead of continuing in the path of commercial domination, Beyoncé's career has taken a sharp turn since this era. In fact, I Am Sasha Fierce is the singer's last album to hail multiple top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. While this decline of radio success may indicate misfortune for most pop stars, Beyoncé appears to openly embrace it. Some may even argue that she flat out rejects traditional ideals of modern artistry. In this video, we will detail the trajectory of Beyoncé's run following the 2000s. We will prove why the superstar is no longer satisfied with or interested in megastardom. Above all, it will be especially clear why Beyoncé's recent career decisions are so genius for her longevity and overall legacy. It goes without saying that Beyoncé is one of the most decorated recording artists in music history. With over 180 million records sold and 28 Grammys, the most for any singer, male or female, her influence is unfathomable. At the tender age of 15, the singer became a hit-making machine with the help of her bandmates in Destiny's Child. Anyone would be remiss if not mentioning Beyoncé in a conversation about music in the 21st century. After the monster results of I Am Sasha Fierce, most artists would aim to replicate its success. However, when preparing for her fourth studio album, Beyoncé did the opposite. The recording artist split ways with her longtime manager and father Matthew Knowles and admitted, "Sasha Fierce is done. I killed her." Along with these changes, Beyoncé wanted to turn away from the commercial-oriented style of her earlier projects, as she became dissatisfied with contemporary music, stating, "Everything sounds the same on the radio." On 4, there is more emphasis on traditional rhythm and blues, vocal performance, and intimacy. The album was Beyoncé's attempt to figure out how to get R&B back on the radio in an industry dominated by Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, and Rihanna. Although 4 was the singer's most acclaimed album at the time and managed to achieve relative success with many of its singles, the album failed to produce a single top 10 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Instead of scrambling to make another radio-friendly record, fans couldn't predict that Beyoncé would further deviate from pop music standards. The subsequent years of her career would find Beyoncé experimenting with new sounds, visuals, and completely revolutionizing music consumption. If 4 was the album that Beyoncé abandoned pop, then her 2013 self-titled album was when she challenged the music industry as a whole. Besides the unprecedented surprise release of her new LP, Beyoncé also refrained from doing any sort of promotion, including interviews. It was during this time that the singer introduced her elusive persona. With the widespread acclaim for the record, Beyoncé entered a new artistic phase in her career, one that was immune to chart validation. The superstar was no longer concerned with getting her music on the radio. It was as if she preferred not to be on the airwaves altogether. On the hidden song Ghost, Beyoncé raps,
"I'm climbing up the walls, cause all this shit here is boring. All this shit I do is boring. All these record labels boring. I don't trust these record labels, I'm torn."
She further claims,
So not for sale. Probably won't make no money off this. Oh well.
in retrospect, it's obvious that the album made an exorbitant amount of revenue. Nonetheless, audiences understand the level of risk Beyoncé was willing to undergo for creativity's sake. The project was Beyoncé's most substantive as it explored subjects including beauty standards, capitalism, self-love, loss, and motherhood. Listeners became privy to a side of the artist that contained more complexity and depth than ever before. And it wasn't only the songs with these new themes that diverged from commercial appeal. In a sense, the entire album was contrary to what was deemed radio-friendly at the time. Though the record managed to achieve 2 top 40 hits with Drunk in Love and Partition, their success was mainly attributed to digital sales and streaming, rather than airplay. It's important to emphasize that Beyoncé's rejection of the charts in 2013 was groundbreaking for various reasons. Firstly, many of the music icons who preceded Beyoncé had never outright resisted structures for commercial success. Some of these forerunners include Mariah Carey, Madonna, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and Whitney Houston. Now, this point shouldn't be misconstrued as undermining any of their respective legacies. The aforementioned artists worked within the confines that were tried and true during their time. What deserves praise is Beyoncé's sensibility to be ahead of the curve, to break rules, and more importantly, make new ones. Furthermore, the songstress was perfectly situated to continue down an enticing road. With just a couple more hit-producing albums, Beyoncé could have easily outrun the likes of Elton John, Elvis Presley, and Stevie Wonder for most US top 10s. In 2013, Beyoncé was also neck and neck with Rihanna in terms of top 10 hits on the Hot 100. At this point, Rihanna had surpassed Beyoncé with #1 songs in the US, a feat that was hard to overlook. Most people remember the speculated tension between the two pop stars, which could have tempted or instigated competition. Still, Beyoncé didn't succumb to the pressure. She transcended it. Little did audiences know that the trailblazer was just in the beginning stages of her rebellion. What would come next solidifies that Beyoncé didn't take a hiatus from pop superstardom, but a permanent departure. Following the release of Beyoncé, many people expected for the singer to get back to business as usual. After all, Beyoncé proved that she could make both hit music as well as artistic. But rather than taking the easy road, the songstress doubled down on anti-commercialism. Inspired by the socio-political events at the time, including police brutality and a resurgence of Black activism, Beyoncé understood the necessity of rising to the occasion, and that she did. With her 6th studio album, Lemonade, Beyoncé elevated her creativity to a whole new peak. The production was intended to rouse a wave of post-genre music as it incorporates elements of soul, rock, country, hip-hop, reggae, trap, funk, and gospel. In other words, Beyoncé ridded herself of all limitations. The most commendable aspect of the record is that it manages to sound perfectly cohesive in spite of being so eclectic. Serving as a story album, the LP confronts the infidelity in Beyoncé's marriage with Jay-Z. However, the singer supplements the subject matter with themes such as race, generational trauma, Black feminism, and African American history. In her 2017 Grammy Award-winning speech, Beyoncé revealed, "My intention for the film and album was to create a body of work that would give voice to our pain, our struggles, our darkness, and our history, to confront issues that make us uncomfortable." It was clear that Beyoncé was compelled to follow in the footsteps of musicians including Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and more recently Kendrick Lamar, as all have taken a political stance in their art. Like Nina Simone once said, "An artist's duty is to reflect the times." It's even reasonable to draw direct parallels from Nina's career decisions and Beyoncé's since Lemonade. The late blues singer was famous for turning away from popular music during the civil rights movement to make songs about race and society. In her autobiography, Simone expresses, "I was excited by it because I felt more alive, because I was needed, could sing something to help my people, and that became the mainstay of my life, the most important thing." Similarly, Beyoncé seems to be striving for something more gratifying than chart success. At least it's quite evident, as Lemonade failed to produce a single radio hit. And this effect is also reflected in Beyoncé's international performance. In the past decade, Beyoncé has earned less platinum and gold certifications for her singles compared to the rest of her career, even though plaques have become easier than ever to achieve in the streaming era. This is true for the artist's most revenue-earning markets outside the US, including the United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. Still in all, Beyoncé couldn't have been surprised by this loss of pop domination. Of course, political art is not necessarily the most mainstream. Yet, as the popular appeal of Beyoncé's music declined, the critical reception to it grew. Since Sasha Fierce, each subsequent album was more approved of than the previous. Lemonade, in particular, has been named the best in her catalog by various listeners and publications. Thus, it's apparent that Beyoncé is unfazed by the commercial performance of her music. She's left that sort of validation for her contemporaries to be obsessed over. Despite more than half a decade passing since Beyoncé's last studio album, she's managed to remain prolific. With the iconic Coachella performances, a joint record with Jay-Z, and The Lion King, fans have had much to enjoy. And just like with Lemonade, Beyoncé refused to revert back to quote-unquote hit music. For example, on The Lion King, The Gift, Beyoncé immersed herself in Afrobeats. Besides the homage to African sound, the subject matter and themes on the soundtrack went steps further than those on Lemonade. Serving as an empowerment piece, the songs on the album cover ancestry, Black pride, identity, as well as many others. With the musical film Black is King, Beyoncé deliberately challenges notions of white supremacy through the subversion of stereotypes. The visuals that accompany each song showcase Black regality, symbols of traditional African religions, and the beauty of the African continent. Again, material that is in direct opposition to what is typically popular. In this stretch of Beyoncé's career, rather than releasing another meaningless love song, she'd rather make tracks like Brown Skin Girl, an ode to Black women. Impressively, the singer is willing to sacrifice mass appeal for representation. To put it shortly, Beyoncé is unapologetically creating art for Black people. When interviewing with British Vogue in 2020, Beyoncé stated, "I was so deeply inspired by my trip to South Africa with my family, and after having my son, Sir Carter, I felt it was important to uplift and praise our boys, and to assure that they grow up with enough films, children's books, and music that promote emotional intelligence, self-value, and our rich history." In that same year, the only lead song listeners got from the star was Black Parade. Coming weeks after the tragic death of George Floyd, Beyoncé released the song on Juneteenth, a holiday originally commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. The anthem is laced with lyrics that celebrate Black culture, history, and pride. It's almost as if every line in the song is rich with references to various aspects of Blackness, including religion, spirituality, clothing, hair, and even geographical origins. All in all, it appears that Beyoncé isn't preoccupied with returning to the model of her earlier career. For what it's worth, trying to remain that popular never works out as planned for anyone. By and large, Beyoncé is still one of the most well-known recording artists in music. In fact, there are very few singers who have had as much influence as she does this late in her career. Irrespective of the diminishing radio play, Beyoncé's impact is unquestionably profound. To a great extent, the singer is redefining what a pop star's trajectory can look like. She's proving that it doesn't require an incessant dependence on sales or chart success. Consequently, newer generations of talent have someone with integrity to look up to. They have someone who isn't primarily invested in the commerce. In many ways, Beyoncé's overall legacy will benefit greatly from her rule-breaking. For one, her work now has layers and complexity that surpasses the superficiality of pop music. Moreover, some of her most notable contributions are a result of going against the status quo. Essentially, Beyoncé is simply focused on one thing that most lose sight of: the art. Decades in the future, Beyoncé's music will not only be cherished by listeners around the globe, but it will also be the kind to be studied. The singer's work will be examined for its ability to offer dance numbers, ballads, feminist anthems, and songs about race. Although some fans may misunderstand Beyoncé's intentions or her career decisions, in a way, they're not meant to be fully realized yet. After all, a true genius is also a visionary. They see things that are invisible to the rest of us. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. What are your thoughts about Beyoncé's legacy? Do you agree or disagree with the sentiments provided? Lastly, what are the most impressive aspects of Beyoncé's career to you?